Hi, this is Ken Smars. I'm with ControlTrends, and we're in Europe, England in particular, with Mike Welch and Graham. Mike, thank you for having us, we're here talking about lighting, specifically DALI Lighting. Why don't you tell us about the story of DALI Lighting?
Well, DALI Lighting has been a story since the late 90s. DALI was created by the lighting controls industry to introduce a simple, architectured, low-cost technology for intelligent lighting control.
Some of the obvious benefits of DALI lighting versus the conventional lighting?
Well, conventional lighting, as best as most of us know it, is a switch on the wall and we turn lights on and we turn them off. So they're on at 100% and they're off at 100%. And sadly, most of us forget to turn lights off when we leave a space, so they end up being on 100% when nobody's around. So it's definitely that lighting solution hasn't worked in terms of control. DALI enables intelligence in lighting such that lights can go on only when presence is detected, somebody's in the space, sure. When it's occupied, lights go off when absence is detected, therefore nobody's in the space.
But DALI's really unique, it's a two-way communication, right?
Yeah, it's a two-way communications protocol. It has a wired network. It allows up to 64 light fixtures to be connected on that network, and you can talk to each fixture individually. You can put those fixtures into logical groups, so you can control groups of lights. And not only can you control those lights in terms of on and off, and also light level while they're on, so you only apply the minimum artificial light level relative to natural light available, sure. But you can also determine whether the light fixture is in good shape to even perform its job and whether it actually has done what you asked it to do. So in terms of operations, maintenance, the emerging world of analytics, this is a great technology that's been around for a long time.
Well, tell us that story. How did the DALI lighting system evolve? From DSI, was it?
Yeah, DSI was the original technology. That was a proprietary solution created by a company called Tridonic. It's the world's largest manufacturer of digital and DALI devices. It's not a name you know well in the US, but outside of the US and just about everywhere else, it's a well-known name, and it is coming to the US, is my understanding. They, along with other major players in the lighting controls industry of the 90s, created DALI to enable a solution, an intelligent solution that was simple enough for electricians to install and low enough cost for the widest possible market to afford.
Well, speaking of markets, and one of the things we're really interested in ControlTrends is how markets evolve and how DALI, say for instance, would evolve into North American markets, Canada, the United States. Graham, we use a lot of systems integrators. So Niagara is a familiar territory for us all. I'm talking about the common stuff. So systems integration in England, and tell us about DALI and how that goes through. You can tell the systems integrator.
Sure. Yeah, well, being a distributor of Niagara, we get involved with lots of integration processes. Lots of companies, lots of clients come to us to talk about integration of many services. Well, lighting's becoming more and more one of those solutions that's required. And Niagara, remember Niagara's in a lot of existing places as well. So it's quite easy to put something like Elite DALI into a Niagara interface and then bring that to a client at minimal cost as well. So you can integrate a whole lighting architecture within an existing Niagara installation, or you can embed it within a new integrated solution on new builds or refits, fit-out builds.
Graham, so you look young, so people might not realize how many years of experience you have, but tell us your background as an integrator and some of the deals you've gone through, the proprietary protocols, the evolution, and where we're at right now, and how DALI fits into that.
Okay. I mean, I might look young, but I've got some grey hairs. And I think proprietary networks gave me those in the early days. Things have changed over the years. Proprietary networks, although they worked, they restricted access to lots of third-party devices. One of the things that we learned early on is that we can integrate multiple protocols and equipment. We could get a lot more work, and we could provide a lot more opportunities for clients, really. One of the things that's also changed is that in the early days, SIs were more locked into individual clients. We're now finding that more SIs out there in the field, working independently of manufacturers, get to be able to go into more buildings and offer more opportunities. Because one of these things that the clients are looking for is I've got a common window into a system where I can see not just my air handling units and boilers, but I can activate other things as well. Well, lighting fits perfectly into that interface.
Super. Mike, why don't you just help us explain to our systems integrators in the States how Dolly is an excellent opportunity to take the tool sets that you have and use them to a greater effect in a newer market. There seems to be like some sort of a headwind why we can't get in the lighting market successfully.
Well, there's a lot of history in lighting control. There are companies who've been in the business for decades, who are well established, who don't have to explain themselves, irrespective of, the alleged quality or the performance of their systems. They don't have to explain themselves. The Niagara community, when it rocks up and puts its hand up in front of a client and says, we can now do lighting, the first question that the client's going to ask is, really, show me something. Which is why we have a certified partner program which enables our partners to acquire the equipment and the skills in order to show somebody something actually working. So that's part of that's one of the key headwinds, is just the client knowing that now the system integrators can deliver lighting control, and it's a converged solution. It's not an interface solution. It's not even a integrated solution. It's actually a Niagara solution.
Sure.
So that's a key area. The other key challenges particularly in the US market, has been the pricing strategy applied to DALI components, those components specifically that go into the light fitting, whether they're LEDs or fluorescents or CFLs, halogen or whatever, where for whatever the reasons, in the American market, these products ended up 4, 5, 6 times more expensive than anywhere else on the planet. Fortunately, in the last 3 years, we've seen a dramatic change in that pricing model, and so that's another bit of headwind removed from the scenario. And then one we talked about earlier was just this split between mechanical and electrical.
Sure.
It happens all around the world, and so it requires the Niagara community. It's not just good enough to acquire the skills and say, well, there you go, I'll now wait until somebody asks. You actually have to be very proactive.
Sure.
And really push and really be loud and proud about the fact you can deliver this stuff. Otherwise, nobody's ever going to ask.
Well, that's Graham, help us out with the, so let's just say we're going to give this package now, or this opportunity, to the systems integrators in the States. Why don't you talk about some of the success stories you've had, some of the obstacles you've overcome, and now where it's a significant impact. Now the users, or the end users, trust you, and it just has a tendency to mushroom and grow.
Yeah, okay. Well, I think one of the biggest things that we learned when we started using integration processes was the amount of the variation that we could interface to. Most products that come to you now have some form of serial interface or an open integration interface. So using Niagara, we're able to talk to most of those protocols in most of these devices. We're trying to now share that with the SIs that deal with us. Lots of SIs within the community now want to take those challenges on. It then lends them, they can go into a client and then talk about this process. One of the biggest things that we've done recently is implement this open strategy into data centers. It's a huge market, and I see lighting following that. You can go into an area where all of those products within these data centers have open serial interfaces. You almost don't need to put much hardware in there to talk to thousands of points. And SIs are now taking that on board, and they're promoting that story as well. And what we're doing with Elite DALI here in the UK, through that Niagara interface, is promoting that same solution on lighting, and it's working very well.